Torocon day 2 is about to begin, and I'm thrilled. I hope you are too. And in case you don't know, my name is Georgios. I'm the CEO of Toroblocks, a company that protects and monitors your creations online. And we have an amazing day in front of us. So stay tuned, fasten your seatbelts, because we're going to see, hear, and learn amazing things as we go. But before we go there, I want to thank you all for participating in Torocon Day 1 yesterday. We had participants from 30 plus countries all around the world. And we really want to thank you for being there, for watching, for participating, for asking questions, and for engaging with what we do. This is our first Torocon, but we have plans to do lots more in the future. So again, thank you. I want to thank also Jeff Goins. I want to thank Sunita. I want to thank Ali, the speakers that took the stage yesterday and shared their knowledge, their golden nuggets with all of you guys. And are you ready for what is coming today? Today we're gonna, first of all, yesterday was Creator Day. It was all about the creator. Today is Metaverse Day. So we're gonna have a look in the future, not the long-term future, because probably Metaverse is about to happen. It's something, just to make, to be more clear, it's something that is happening as we speak. That's a better way to put it. So today we're going to talk a lot about the Metaverse, about what it is, how it's going to look like, how we're going to use it, how creators are going to use it, and what's the place, what's their status into that new environment. We're going to hear examples. We're going to do a masterclass. I'm going to do a masterclass with you, and the content is going to blow your mind away. But in order to do that right, and we need to do things, in the manner that they're supposed to be happening. We're talking about the metaverse, but I think I'm wearing the wrong glasses. What do you think? I don't think I need those glasses. I think though I need those glasses. So let's go, and I'll see you on the other side.
Okay, that's better. That's more like it. Do you like my place here? Well, it's not here, it's quite in the future, but I think I dig that, right? Not bad at all. But wait, I forgot why we got here in the first place. I think, yeah, we're gonna talking about Torocon Day 2, right? And about what we're gonna see today. Okay, let's bring Torocon here. Wow. All right, that's what I'm talking about. So, we're in the Torocon website and we are watching at our amazing speakers. But let's go to today's agenda to see what Torocon has for us today. There we go. Day 2. We will see George Stampolis and talk about it's actually a talk about music industry. It's called Back to the Future, and George is gonna take us to a great ride, since the beginning of music up to Web3 and the metaverse and NFTs and everything. So it's great talk here from George. And then we have Lakshmi, another presentation about manufacturing in the metaverse. We're going to hear about real case studies here, and it's going to be a great, amazing talk. And then it's me again. I'm going to give you a masterclass on the Creator 3.0 and the future of digital ownership. It's a masterclass I did for the MIT as well. So it has, it's stuffed with good information. I think you're going to like that. And then John Vlachogiannis, or John V, is going to do just a quick, short video on to the metaverse and how we can use metaverse. He's going to present to you some real life examples right from the bat. So make sure you don't miss that as well. And we are going to close the day with Rolando Zubiran, who is he's he's the metaverse guy. I mean, he works with a multinational, and he's the head of Metaverse for that company. And let me remind myself what the name of the company is. So, yeah, he's a global head of Web3 and Metaverse services for RRD, Go Creative. So this is Rolando Zubiran, who is going to close day 2 for us today. This is John Vlachogiannis, just to get a view of our speakers. This is Lakshmi. This is myself. And this is George that will kick off today's day. So I think it's going to be an amazing day as well here in Torocon, day 2. I hope you have great fun. Feel free to share, the video that you're watching that with your friends. Feel free to add comments and questions, because we're going to collect all of those and share them with, the speakers, so you can have feedback. And of course, in order to stay tuned with what we do, because we are going to do some amazing stuff as we move forward, please go to, Toroblocks, or even better, if you go to torocon.world, yeah, that's a website, torocon.world, you will come here and you will be able to give your email, and we will keep posted on anything we do. And we have lots and lots of things to do. So without further ado, have another look at my place here in the Metaverse. I really like that. Oh, here's a friend flying. Hey Bill, how you doing? The traffic is a bit heavy today, but it's okay. I will survive. Here's something I'm working on this side. Here is where I relax, in the evenings. And here's my living room. I hope you like it. And yeah, let's start Torocon day 2, shall we?
Hi, my name is Georgios Stampolis, and I am the Managing Director of Spicy Music Greece, and also the co-founder of DMPG and MG Digital Publishing Company. I want to thank Toroblocks, Georgios Efstratiadis and Michael Kotra, who honor me with the invitation. You are the expert of this new amazing era that we are facing, and I'm really amazed of your great minds, the great ideas and works that you are presenting. I would like to share with you some of my thoughts and some of my experiences of my business journey with my two big loves, music and technology. I believe that in order to move forward, we always have to consider and examine the past, learn, change the mistakes and move forward. In the last 100 years, we have experienced an amazing progress and development of the music industry, from phonogram to radio. From artist scouting and development to radio placement and live performances to physical sales to the digital world. Don't worry, it won't take me 100 years to share my thoughts. The accomplishment of the increase in physical sales was the most significant changing point in music history, which had changed the whole perspective. For the last 45 years, music industry has focused on numbers and sales. Everybody believed that music was the focal point, but the truth is that the medium was so strong and made it so much easier for all involved parties that numbers, bonuses and investments took over the songs, productions and artist development. When internet was introduced to the world, the music industry was really powerful and maybe didn't feel the need to examine more closely the near future and try to change and adapt according to the fast evolution of technology. And unfortunately, we lost a lot of time and we struggled to keep up for more than 20 years. Music now is stronger than ever, reaching billions of people, but the industry still has a lot of challenges to face. Music is reaching billions of people and the daily consumption of music is tremendous, but the way that we consume and use music has changed completely. I'll make another jump to the past. I'm a bit older and maybe I will use some terms that most of you probably don't know. Electrophone. I'm not that old, it's quite older than me, but I've read about it. In early 1900, before radio development and establishment, first in Europe people would gather in special places and listen to music with headphones connected to a machine transmitting music through telephone line. Using conventional telephone line, it relayed live theater performances, music hall shows and Sunday church services to subscribers who listen over special headsets. Sounds familiar? Keep that in mind and I'll pass really quick to radio. By 1950, almost every household in the US had a radio where family would gather all together or independently and listen to music, talk shows and news. TV. By 1970, almost every household in the US had a TV. Vinyl records that were extremely popular from 1940 to 1990 and also cassettes. That helped music to be recorded and then transferred through the airwaves or listened to the privacy of their homes. We had the amazing Walkman. Yes, you could walk and listen to your favorite music back in 1979. Actually, I had one of those as well, but it also sounds familiar, doesn't it? Then we had CDs. Around 1990, we jumped into new technologies with PCs and a few years later with MP3 players. Then came the internet. Even if internet was introduced back in 1969, World Wide Web became truly popular in the millenniums, and from there on, the progress and evolution has been amazing. We had the mobile phones. Actually, I was taking part in summits those days, and there were different parties arguing about the mobile development. Not a lot of people believed that with mobile phones we would be able to listen to music, watch videos and our favorite shows, have processing power, etc. etc. I remember myself working in a big media company in Greece, creating and producing the first webcast with celebrities back in 2001, and also doing audio and video conversion for major telecom companies, testing codecs and trying to figure out the best setting for the best quality. Unfortunately, the music industry didn't want to believe in those new technologies, and the whole system had useless battles over DRMs and charges, trying to make the most with the less. As a result, the industry jumped in the technology train a bit too late and, as I've said, lost a lot of time. The last 2 decades though, with music still giving useless battles and the technology conquering our daily life routine day by day, we also meet a lot of other things as well. I still remember waiting for the weekend as a kid to go downtown with my friends and with my allowance to buy the record of my favorite artist. Then with my friends, we would sit all afternoon and listen to all the records we bought, discussing, arguing, dreaming. It continued almost the same for about 10 years, when we still had time to sit and enjoy music at the weekend with friends, again talking, arguing, and still dreaming. Yes, now music is reaching billions of people, and this is amazing, truly amazing. But as I said, the way we consume music is different. I have the impression that most of the time, music now is like a background, kind of a soundtrack. I have the impression that we don't listen to what the artist wants to say. We do not connect with the artist or the music. We do not connect with the artist's development and growth. I vividly remember how U2, Simple Minds, Simple Red, Police and Sting, Depeche Mode and then Maroon 5 evolve and growing older with me. I cannot forget how furious I was when they released something I didn't like. Now we consume fast, we consume continuously, and I have the feeling that we are living the fast food period of music. But do we enjoy what we are consuming? In my phone right now, I have access to almost every song the industry has produced. Am I connected though with anything? Imagine if Spotify bankrupts. Can you imagine that? Where is music? Who turned off the lights? What will happen if Facebook, Instagram or TikTok bankrupt or close? Now we're entering the world of Web3. What an amazing step. With Metaverse, NFTs, blockchains, decentralized power and communities. As it happened in the past, music is a very sexy product that can help technology to reach a lot of more people. There was a time when telecom companies were selling music in order to sell phones and subscriptions. Biggest example, Mr. Steve Jobs sold music and invested to the legendary iTunes in order to sell iPods and iPhones. I really want to believe that this time the industry won't be so narrow-minded. I really want to believe that instead of fighting the new, we will take advantage and we will try to explore and expand with it. After a long time, we have a chance to actually have ownership and certificates of authenticity in a digital world. After a really long time, we have the opportunity to be part of large engaging communities. We have the opportunity to connect with the artist and the artist's visions. We have the opportunity to be part of that vision, to be part of something new and bigger. I really want to believe that this time we won't miss the train. Even if the new reality is quite scary in lots of ways, I'm ready to embrace it, support it, and enjoy this ride. We did the first music NFT in Greece with Fivos, one of the biggest composers and producers in Greece. Hopefully, next year, with a little help of our friends, we will present you our new projects and dreams. And as I began, let's take today's opportunity to get back to the future.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be speaking in this event on impact of Metaverse on manufacturing industry. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me start with a brief intro about me. I'm Lakshmi Moorthy, co-founder and CEO of NicheBrains. NicheBrains connects leaders of small and medium enterprises to vetted independent consultants in the areas of supply chain, marketing, Industry 4.0 technologies on demand to accelerate growth and transformation. I'm an INSEAD alumni and lecturer of growth and transformation programs in INSEAD. I'm also a graduate from Singularity University. When people hear the word metaverse, 9 out of 10 will associate metaverse with gaming, fun, and social. But do you know BMW Group uses NVIDIA Omniverse Design, a complete digital twin of their entire factory that can be used to simulate 31 factories of theirs. This approach will produce 30% more efficient planning process. Kawasaki has joined forces with Microsoft to build Metaverse using Microsoft HoloLens technologies to optimize production, repair, and general manufacturing operations. Boeing wants to build its next airplane in the Metaverse to minimize quality issues, as they believe 70% of such issues trace back to design stage. My first experience of seeing virtual reality, one of the key pillars of Metaverse, was when I saw the movie Disclosure in 1994. Michael Douglas wears gloves and a headset, and he walks through a digital library and access confidential design files. And Metaverse does have a huge impact on business, and manufacturing industry sector is not an exception. My objective today is to share the impact of Metaverse in manufacturing industries and various possibilities it brings to the future. Metaverse is an amalgamation of the digital world in which physical, augmented, and virtual realities are converged. Metaverse can be thought of as a future of internet or the next iteration as such. Whatever we can do through internet today should be possible through the metaverse with immersive experience, be it personal or in business applications. Metaverse combines the technologies like virtual realities, augmented realities, mixed reality, digital twins, artificial intelligence, and many more to reimagine the way we do business, engage with customers, design faster, better, and cheaper processes. It brings together real and digital worlds, and the experience is made more immersive through the use of VR and AR. So essentially, there are three realms of metaverse, or three categories of innovation in the metaverse: consumer, commercial, and the industrial metaverse. The consumer metaverse is most likely the one that we are almost all familiar with. It's the notion of bringing avatars to life for more socially immersive experience, or developing new kinds of entertainments through enriched gaming environments. The commercial metaverse is all about taking the same kind of immersive experience and bringing them to the world of work. With mixed reality capabilities, the commercial metaverse will redefine how we collaborate as a society, and it will help generate new ideas faster, more effectively than ever before. Now, what is industrial metaverse? Industrial metaverse has a capacity to represent each part of the real world system in a virtual environment and can accelerate digital transformation in industries. Industrial metaverse enables creation of digital twins of places, processes, and the real world objects, and will allow organizations to effectively monitor the complex systems in real time, analyze them, and interact with them. When we can integrate the physical and digital world and provide immersive experiences, new possibilities emerge. Let me give a couple of examples to illustrate this. Let's think about an annual report for a company. If you are reading an annual report, you may browse it on a paper, or you may even go through online and then click it on the reports. But what if you could actually walk into a boardroom in Metaverse where you interact with the board of directors and the chairman, and they explain, they present it to you, and you can also interact with them and also ask them questions where in real time you get answers. Or think about a worker using a digital twin virtually to analyze their manufacturing plant and efficiency, and then putting on an augmented reality headset and going out and changing the operating characteristics of the plant in real time and going back and forth to get the best out of their manufacturing plant. So before we dive deep into this industrial metaverse applications, it'll be good time to spend a few minutes of evolution of manufacturing industry and the various transformation it went through over the last few centuries and various industrial revolutions as such. So in a time before industrialization, skilled artisans worked on their own to produce commodities. They even brought on assistants who were trained through apprenticeship, and often their work was protected through a guild system. The purpose was to guard the secrets behind their craftsmanship. In the early days of craft production, enterprising artisans soon realized that they could make more money by subcontracting work to others. In a pre-industrial era, this often meant products being produced in rural areas to supplement their agricultural workers' income. Irrespective of the time it was, efficiency, cost, delivery times are the key needs, and they were the same even today. But when we really see over the centuries how these craft manufacturing has transformed, where through various industrial revolutions from mechanization, mass production, and computer automation, and what we call it as rays, digital technologies like cyber physical systems, the complexity of the manufacturing also increased. And this is also further compounded by the growth needs, the globalizations, changing customer preferences, technology advancements, and other factors. If we just take an automotive manufacturing where the focus was on manufacturing single product at high volume, to today, where car assemblies are equipped to manufacture personalized cars at a large scale. But what is also important to note that while these transformations are nothing new, but every transformation has also brought in a lot of changes with them. They are like cost shock. Things become cheaper and better. And also with this new technologies, demand for new capabilities is needed. There is new business models changes, and also industry structure also changes with new player coming into the picture. Keeping this in mind, with current industry 4.0 focuses on Internet of Things and transforming the organization digitally, which is already gaining a mainstream adoption in the last few years. We can call the next industry 5.0 or digital transformation 2.0 will leverage these technologies, which is already existing, and on top of which Metaverse can be applied, by which one can reimagine the customer engagements, product design, building, and operating the business at the crossroad of physical and virtual world. And this time is not in the future, but it's here and now. Or possibly is it just a hype? Let's take a moment to analyze. Now, clearly, these are some of the buzzwords over a period of last 30, 40 years we have been hearing. It all started possibly with ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, was the buzzword in early 90s. And we can see today that it got adopted by many large organizations to integrate various business function. On top of which, what we call it as SMAC, which is Social Mobile Analytics and Cloudware in the late 2000s, and it's getting mainstream adoption as we speak. And digital transformation, which was a buzzword somewhere in 2015. And now digital transformation is not new anymore, but majority of many organizations understand the needs to reimagine their business process and also modernize their factories, connecting both their information technology systems with their operation technology systems. While these technologies sounds like buzzwords initially, but by leveraging these technologies for the right business objectives and the goals in mind, various businesses benefited immensely. Each technology adoption lead to new technologies evolving. However, to access if Metaverse is truly not a buzzword for a business, what we can possibly do is that let's take a step back and look at it from a strategic framework point of view and see that how Metaverse can add value. So, what is strategy? Strategy is always about being fit with changing external business environment. So, in terms and creating new value propositions where the customers are willing to pay more, and at the same time getting the results at a much lesser cost by acquiring new capabilities, or possibly partner with people who have new capabilities as well. So it's all about building new value creation possibilities and in line with changing external business. Now, in this context, when we really look at Metaverse, what is the things that are changing in the manufacturing environment? As we can see that there are rapid advancements in manufacturing, have increased complexity of design and development processes, and this has further increased costs associated with manufacturing. Organizations have globally dispersed teams, and working together become a costly affair. In the last few years, definitely travel restrictions force people not to be able to work together as well. Increased complexities results in high risk of failure, and there is no easy way to simulate results before large-scale manufacturing can be taken up. This possibly results in poor product quality and recalls as well. And what the customers value in this, have to build a new kind of value proposition, which is like faster personalization of products and faster time to respond to the changing need of the customers and high production quality. And that can be possible only when we are able to have a faster collaboration and the ability for simulate and pilot faster and within these constraints being existing as well. So Metaverse has the possibility, by bringing together physical and virtual world, provides new ways to solve these problems and create new opportunities. And that's where the digital transformation, which has already started to gain mainstream adoption with immersive experience through Metaverse, can add value. So at its most basic, the Metaverse will have three features, like a sense of immersion, a real-time interactions. Ultimately, the full version possibly can give interoperability across the platforms and devices, and concurrency with thousands of people interacting simultaneously, and use cases spanning human activity well beyond gaming as such. So organizations that have complex manufacturing processes, hazardous facilities, dispersed geographical locations, variety of products, mix, and volume can hugely benefit by adapting Metaverse solutions to start with over the next 10 years. Of course, there are some areas where smaller organizations already started benefiting, but these technologies will also find adoption in smaller organizations as they evolve, like the way each industrial evolution brought in new technologies as well. So let's look at with these kind of a context, and then understanding that Metaverse will have a key role to play in the coming years to differentiate, to be relevant in the manufacturing industry. So what are the applications or the core components to start with on the Metaverse? So the Metaverse is a set of technology, as we discussed. It's basically allows persistent digital representation to be connected to the aspects of the real world, such as people, places, and things. It adds more layers of augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality that allow one to immerse in a virtual environment called digital twin, blending physical and virtual world. So digital twin is a main pillar of industrial twin, supported by AR, VR, and mixed reality deployed on the cloud, and decision making made easy through artificial intelligence and operations executed through robots. Digital twins, where real objects are represented in the Metaverse. Digital twin technology will evolve towards wider deployments and deeper operations in response to the growth of Metaverse and the increasing sophistication of the digital simulations used to create its product. Therefore, the corresponding digital twin technologies will also start to appear on the markets as well. Industrial Metaverse market will reach $540 billion by 2025 as companies begin to take advantage of various new tools, and it's expected to cross $1 trillion before end of 2030. Metaverse use cases can be seen across the value chain of manufacturing. In fact, hundreds of customers leveraging these capabilities in one way or the other already. And especially the digital twins brings realism to the digital world, combining the virtual manufacturing simulations with real-life learnings, helping, for example, to identify the best materials and manufacturers to optimize the cost and environment impact of a product, feeding systematically collected data on a range of issues into a connected workflow, particularly enhanced with artificial intelligence insights. Means a learning from production defects or product uses can be utilized to improve future parts and help these learning be accessible to a lot of teams and skill sets. So imagine that entire value chain is connected and information flow is orchestrated in real time, where one don't have to wait and there is no time lag as such. So with this, what are the application areas today? Now, as we said that Metaverse has different use cases across the value chain of a manufacturing industries. And we can broadly categorize this into a design, manufacturing, supply chain, training, and support. So from the design aspects of it, development of digital twin Metaverse can provide new avenues for engineers and designers to evaluate their final product and understand the state of product during the intermediate manufacturing steps, with engineers able to augment the physical world's design and testing with the powers of digital twin insights on a product's what-if characteristics and behavior. This will include like what if one material changed to another material, what kind of an impact will be there, or what if we change the shape of it, how much kind of a fuel we can save, or what kind of a savings is possible. These are things which possibly it's not possible in the past can be made possible with digital twins and metaverse technologies. So also these kind of discussions and these kind of innovation discussions has to happen across cross-functional teams dispersed across from different disciplines, and they all need to come together. And with metaverse, one can start to work from their home and discuss all these kind of design challenges virtually with an in-person experience, thus reducing the kind of travel across the world, or kind of discuss, eliminate the need to travel, and also at the same time gain the same kind of an immersive experience as well. And once they finish this design, they can always go back and then take their kids to their soccer game, or take their wife to or spouse to a romantic dinner. So the possibilities are immense. Now think of it like a pilot getting a real-time data on aircraft performance through jet's dashboard and alarms when issues may arise, or a kind of a smart glass type augmented reality giving predictive maintenance alerts or machines nearing their end of life. So it's not just the design stage, the engineers or the R&D team gets the alerts, but also how the product is used. Is it getting used as it was intended to be designed as well? So these kind of inputs can have help in terms of modifying any defects at the early stages itself, and thus improving the overall quality of the product at the source. The next use case is on manufacturing. Manufacturing in the metaverse will allow all production teams to monitor their virtual assembly line and analyze as if the new product designs will work according to the current manufacturing layout, equipments, and quality assurance procedures. And this can reduce manufacturing costs and other associated costs of actual trial runs and physical testing as well. And if manufacturing teams embrace and build a metaverse that works for them, they will achieve greater productivity working both alone as well as together, because they can access more and better information easily and instinctively. And with respect to supply chain, metaverse can enhance the effectiveness of supply chain management, attributing to increasing the ability of metaverse-based technologies to improve supply chain transparency, enhance communications and interaction within and across the supply chain. And add that to a blockchain technologies can be used to match suppliers and consumers, and improve payment through smart contracts and availability of real-time data in the blockchain to provide insights into the state of product in the production life cycle. So this kind of visibility, transparency enhances the trust, and also incorporates any changes during the process of design stage or usage as well. And the next use case we can think about it is, which is also slowly getting mainstream adoptions, are training and building new capabilities. Manufacturers can also leverage virtual production lines to teach and educate new staff or personnel about remote maintenance and machinery control through the metaverse applications. And this future definitely is expected to boost adoption of metaverse technologies across various end-use industries going ahead. Several companies basically have started training employees on how to use and maintain equipment using VR headsets rather than having them use a physical equipment, which basically helps in terms of where it can be dangerous or difficult to use those actual equipments. And also immersive learning gives a kind of a fun element, and also people gets involved in the classrooms instead of having a monologues in the classroom training. And trainees can also make mistakes in the virtual environment without real world consequences. And other use cases, support and maintenance, like the training scenarios for a few new frontline workers, field service personnel, and technicians can also get help with equipment manufacturing and support through AR, VR, and mixed reality technologies. Especially during the pandemic, when teams from all over the world were limited by travel restrictions and health issues and were unable to visit in person, remote assistance was provided with VR and mixed realities. Many companies are exploring using augmented reality with devices they already have, including smartphones and tablets. The pandemic have accelerated the adoption of artificial augmented reality and virtual reality technology by many companies as well. So the intersection lies in Till now, these technologies were used in isolation, but as we go forward, Metaverse kind of combines all these existing technologies and brings in a new age experience. Now, let's look at this, how these different use cases are used by some of the clients already. So I've taken few examples, but there are so many other organizations that are already started using Metaverse applications. So BMW Group uses NVIDIA Omniverse to design a complete digital twin of an entire factory that can be used to simulate 31 factories of that. All elements of the complete factory model, including the accessories, robots, and the buildings, assembly parts, can be simulated to support a wide variety of AI-enabled use cases such as virtual factory planning, autonomous robots, predictive maintenance, and big data analytics. The digital twin approach will produce 30% more efficient planning processes. It's a game changer for them. Next example is Equinor is committed to having 20,000 employees that operate across 30 countries, bring forward a net zero energy ecosystem by year 2050. They are using industrial metaverse to design their products and simulate their effectiveness before they implement them in the physical world. The goal is to operate a virtual wind farms before it's been built. Boeing wants to build its next airplane in the metaverse. Boeing's strategy to unify sprawling design, production, and airline services operations under a single digital ecosystem in next 2 years. As announced in December 2021. It also aims to prevent future manufacturing problems that basically they had faced in the past, past their releases as well. So these digital twins stitch together every piece of information about the aircraft from its infancy, from airline requirements to millions of parts to thousands of pages of certification documents, expanding deep into the supply chain. So as per Boeing, more than 70% of the quality issues at Boeing trace back to some kind of a design issues. And these tools will be central to bringing these new aircraft without any quality issues to market in a very short time period. These are only few sample use applications which are used by customers, but there are many companies which are already adopting, like Benz, Coca-Cola, using Metaverse applications across their value chain and reaping their benefit. So how to approach Metaverse initiatives? The mantra for Metaverse initiatives is that you got to think big, start small and scale fast. So one needs to develop a value-focused strategic stance in 2 steps. This was basically adapted from McKinsey's value creation and metaverse report. So basically define your metaverse goals, such as whether you want to generate a demand across existing and new segments or build communities and create new revenue streams. And determine what is that role that you want to play in that kind of a value chain by building the experience to facilitating interactions or enabling the infrastructure. And the next stage is basically to test, learn, and adapt in quick steps. So, and finally, once these pilots are successful, prepare to scale fast. And what are the scaling capabilities are needed, and bring those capabilities either through in-house or acquire through collaborations, and embed these things in metaverse in your business strategy and operating model, and clearly identifying how your organization will be in the future. So keeping these in mind, what is the future of metaverse? One thing for sure in manufacturing, there is automation is already having hugely impacting manufacturing, but a model without a man and machines managing end to end may bring in an era of complete lights out manufacturing, which is machines operating as they are programmed to complete their tasks, even with nobody is there, or what we call it as even with no lights being on. The advancement and maturity of various automated machines and robots and a complete and established manufacturing operation management software makes lights out factories possible. Since the software can manage automated manufacturing processes without any assistance, it also offers the visibility into self-produced goods. Moreover, human stakeholders can monitor lights out operations from a distance and receive warnings to do additional tasks or interventions. Robots can identify where design changes are required, or the feedback from the customers are incorporated, or provide a lot of other prescriptive recommendations as to what can do. And also robots can also order parts and then interact with the other supply chains, and get the products as and when they need it as well. So sometimes it can also sort of need not be a complete lights out manufacturing situation. And also they can also benefit at what we call it as a light sparse environment, where the dark factory model is limited by the specific areas. So it has the best of both worlds as well. So this is where the Metaverse application can play an important role and bring in the benefits of lower production cost, refining the environment footprint, and reduction of waste, enhanced productivity and increased product quality, and eliminate labor shortage challenges, which is evident in many parts of the world. In summary, the industrial metaverse is a lot closer than many people think. While Gartner has metaverse at a 10 plus year horizon in the last 2022 new tech hype cycle, but many industrial companies we are seeing already well down the path faster. The industrial metaverse is being enabled by the convergence of many technologies, the key enabler being digital twin technologies. The real value of all this is in the simulation and may provide not just a disruptive recommendation, but also prescriptive recommendation to help create exponential value for the organizations. Over the past year is that a lot of companies and brands have begun to dip their toes in the metaverse. Maybe it was a marketing effect, or possibly, they are taking a step back and asking, does it really, mean anything for our business? And, or maybe, think about waiting and to have a clear strategy, wait and watch, but, testing this option. But it can also might be too late if the initiatives are not started earlier, in at least in a pilot space. But above all, what's important is successful organizations and leaders are those who can analyze these so-called buzzwords or new trends and technologies in the context of their business environment and the specific customer needs and the problems to be solved, and leverage them for their exponential growth. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak in this conference. And I hope that I was able to share some of my views on the metaverse's impact on the manufacturing industries. I'll be happy to share further views and answer any questions. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Georgios. I'm the CEO of Toroblocks. And today, together, we're going to do a very, very important and very critical masterclass, in my opinion, on the new type of creator 3.0, and the future of digital ownership. I have split the presentation in 8 chapters, and let's have a look before we begin. So this is going to be a great ride, so fasten your seatbelts, and I think you will enjoy that. We will start, by exploring the origins of ownership and how ownership works today. Then we will talk about creativity and how everyone is a creator these days, and how Web 2.0 created some issues for the creator, that initiated the creator economy explosion, and how the creator economy and the tokenized economies are transforming creativity forever. And then we will enter to Web 3 and how Web 3.0 is going to solve those issues, or is supposed to solve those issues. And we will explain why Web 3.0 is the gateway to the metaverse and how the metaverse is going to look like. Of course, we're going to talk about some very, very important and crucial things and issues that have occurred lately, like AI and copyright, AI and ownership. And then we will talk about the digital ownership and how the creator is going to be transformed in this new Web 3.0/Metaverse era. So get ready, because this is going to be packed with new information, and I hope you will enjoy the ride. Let's go. So, first things first, let's start with a definition about ownership. According to the dictionary, ownership is the legal right to possess something. I know it sounds a bit simplistic, but that's the essence of it. If we want to expand on that, I would say that it's a need a human has to possess something. If we go back in time, when the first human civilization and the first structures of people living together were formed, that's exactly the time where ownership became an issue. And of course, back in the day, that was quite simplistic. If I wanted to own a piece of land, all I needed was a credible witness. So I was claiming the land and I had a witness that I was the first to claim it. That was enough back then. But after a while, when communities became more and more complicated and people realized that all those assets that they were accumulating, they needed a way to pass them on to the future generations, to the children, to buy and sell them, so to create commerce over them, that's when the need of ownership certificates and contracts came into play. At the beginning, the king or the village wizard or, I don't know, the village chief was the person to provide those kinds of certificates. But as we move on and cities became bigger and people live more and more together, we needed a more structured way to manage those things. So in every country, every government came up with some rules and some processes so that you could prove your claims, right? And that was okay for tangible things. That was okay for land, for buildings, for houses, for cars, for all those things. But how about the creations of the mind? How about the products of the intellect? You have again to imagine that in the past, there were not so many artists around living out of their art. So it was quite easy to identify the works of a specific artist. All they had to do was sign the canvas or sign the sculpture, and that was all about it. And since there were not so many artists around, nobody could really infringe upon their creations, successfully. But again, as time goes by, more artists come into play, and of course, this becomes a problem. People start copying each other, and copycats start to arise into the horizon. So the more the artists, the more the creators, the more the issues governments have to fight over. And as usually government does, they started to write and produce those laws to protect the creator from infringements. But the problem was that each country had their own laws. And at the beginning that was working okay, because all infringements were happening within the same geographical area. But again, as the commerce, explodes and countries start to connect with each other and people from all around the world starting connecting to each other, infringements started be happening between countries. And then there was a problem. How do you treat a case of a creator from France being infringed by a person in Germany or in the US? Which legal system is responsible for that case? Fast forward to today, as the world becomes more and more digital, we are all technically creators. Because we all own that thing called a smartphone. Via this device, we can record audio, video, take photos, write text. As a result, we can produce, photographs, videos, record music, record podcasts, write small poems, write big articles, write books. We are all in the position to produce something of value. At the same time, we can share that work in a split of a second with the rest of the world. And that's because of the internet and the social networks that made that possible. As the internet progresses and enters its third era, because we started with Web 1.0, then we went to Web 2.0, and now we're entering in the Web 3 era. Before that, let's see what important people of the field have to say about it.
What are the characteristics that defined Web 1 and Web 2? So the characteristic of Web 1, if people remember their original AOL account, was an ability to look in a curated walled garden at a set of content that was not interactive but was presented to you on AOL the way that Time magazine used to show you the articles they wanted you to see inside of their magazine. Just you could see it on a screen. The innovation of Web 2 was that suddenly you could not only read content, but you could also write content. This is when the blogosphere became a big thing.
Everything gets digitalized, and in parallel, new words are getting into reality. A very basic problem here is that a lot of people don't understand how copyright works. So they have this mentality that everything that's online, it's free to use. And that's a bad habit that was created during the Web 1 and Web 2 years. So although copyright has been around in a form, in a legal form since the 1790s, a lot of people don't understand how it works, and we can't say that this is common knowledge. On the other end, everyone is a creator now, using their smartphones. They are posting, they are engaging in content, they are uploading videos, they are uploading photos. Everyone is creating. This data gets into the cloud, gets into the internet. Most of the people don't know how to treat right those creations. And that's where copyright comes in. But wait, what is copyright? Let me take a look at my notes. Copyright is a form of intellectual property law that protects original works of authorship, including literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic works such as poetry, novels, movies, songs, computer software, and architecture. In plain English, everyone who creates something in a tangible form is the owner of that something. Here's an example. Let's say I think of a poem, okay? Once the poem is in my head, I don't own it because I haven't expressed it yet. Once I write it down on a piece of paper, that's in tangible form, and I own the copyright of that poem. It's as simple as that. The copyright law dictates no formalities for an owner to own his own work. Again, in plain English, you don't have to do anything to own the copyright of the work you produce. All you have to do is to express it in a tangible form. Okay so far? The problem occurs when somebody else comes and claims your work, because at that point it's your work against his. That's where copyright registration comes into play, but we will talk about copyright registration down the line. So we have learned what copyright protects. There are things that copyright does not protect. For example, ideas. You cannot protect an idea using copyright. You have to produce something using that idea, and then you can protect that something. Because the real problem here is that if I could protect anything that comes into my mind, after a while, nobody would be able to do anything. Everything would be protected by somebody else. So what the law says is that you have to express that. You have to create something out of it. And then you can protect that something you have created. So as I said, ideas cannot be protected. Titles cannot be protected. And in general, anything that is not in a tangible form, anything that is not a production, anything that is not something you have produced out, of labor, out of doing something in a tangible form, cannot be protected by copyright. There are other things, of course. There are other laws, for example, the patent law that protects, the innovation and protects patents and protects new technologies and new ways of, doing stuff, but that's another thing. And another issue we had to solve is that every country had its own way of treating, those creations. So, for example, England and France and the US and Germany had different laws about copyright. So as the world was becoming more interconnected, there were those cases that, a German citizen was infringing upon a creation of a US citizen. And there was a question how we treat those cases. That's where the Berne Convention comes into play. The Berne Convention, it's actually, a structure about the copyright law that all the countries in the world, except some small countries that haven't signed that convention yet. But if you see the signatory countries, you will realize it's the whole world. And what does that convention, and that's very important to understand, does is that it sets the basic set of laws for all the countries to work with. So no matter where you create your work or where your work gets infringed, the treat you get is almost the same. There are some minor changes, per country, because all countries have some special things they have to fix and to get into the law. But the main copyright protection law is covered within the Berne Convention. All the countries in the world follow that convention so they can understand each other, they can talk to each other, and they can solve all the infringements that happen between countries. So just to sum up, we have to understand that copyright is something you get the moment you create something in a tangible form. You have to do nothing. It's automatic. Once you have something in a tangible form, it's yours. You own the copyright. And as the world, dictates, you own the right to copy. And that's exactly what a copyright gives to its owner. The right to reproduce, to create derivative works, to sell it, to promote it, to display it in public, to publish it, to rent it, to do anything with it. But again, we shouldn't confuse copyright with copyright registration. Copyright registration is the tool you will need in order to prove that you are the copyright owner, and it's the tool you will need in order to defend your case in case of an infringement. So while we have no real knowledge about how copyright works and how copyright operates, it's not, common ground for everyone. At the same time, we produce more content than ever. And I know that's something easily said. What does that mean? More content than ever. What does that mean? I have some numbers for you. And I have to tell you, get ready to get your minds blown away. So what I'm about to present to you, it happens every minute online. Every 60 seconds, okay? And let me get to my notes, starting with Instagram. We post 66,000 photos and videos every minute. We consume 167 million videos on TikTok. We watch 3.6 million videos on YouTube. And that's a big one. We stream, and that's only for the US, 694 million songs every 60 seconds. But what's most impressive, at least in my regard, is what happens in YouTube. Every 60 seconds, we upload 500 hours of content. Let's take a deep breath and a pause here to understand that. Every 60 seconds, we upload 20.8 days of content. At the same 60 seconds, we consume 29,000 days of content. This is hard to put in perspective. This is hard to imagine what that means. What does it mean to upload 500 hours of video every 60 seconds? It's very hard to even understand those numbers. But what that proves is what we talked before. Humans are natural creators. And once the platforms were in place, and once the tools were in place, and once he had the ability to express that creativity, he did it. That's why we see that explosion in creativity worldwide, because people want to create, and now they can, and they can share, and they can put their work, their mark on the world, in the universe. Ownership and copyright on that content is super important if you realize that more and more creators are making a living by just creating for the digital world. The way we create changed forever. In the past, if you wanted to create and reach an audience, it was impossible to do it alone. And also it was not cheap. You needed tools to create, and depending on your craft, those tools could be really, really expensive. And if somehow you did have the means, to create something, then you needed distribution. You needed a channel to take that creation and take it out to the world and bring it to your audience. You also needed marketing, and also you needed a form of corporation to run all this behind. Today, literally anyone can become a creator. Just a decent smartphone has all the means, all the tools for you to use to create, to record music, to create your videos, to record your podcast, to write your book, your blogs, to paint, to take some photographs, to do whatever you like. And once you've done with it, There are the social media, there are the social networks, all those channels that you can, in a split of a second, share everything with the world, and the world will react to it and create audience and slowly penetrate and get to your potential audiences. This is amazing. Imagine a YouTuber now can create his own video using his smartphone, like I do right now, post it on YouTube and get free distribution to millions or even billions of people. The same thing happens with Facebook, with TikTok, with Snapchat, with Instagram, and all those platforms that provide distributions to the creators. So as a result, a whole economy has been created around those platforms. And that's incredible. If you take a step back and think about the previous situation, this is heaven. But again, humanity evolves, creators evolve, and problems have started, to occur. Because while the major portion of the creativity comes from the creators, the major portion of the economic incentives goes to those big platforms. And again, for a while that made sense, because me as a creator, I didn't have the chance to connect and to communicate with all those people if they weren't for the platforms. Because you see, the big platforms have the eyeballs and they serve your content as they see fit. And the business model here is very simple. The big platforms have the eyeballs. The creators have their creations. So what they do is they serve those creations to those eyeballs, and then they put advertising on top. As a result, a big new economy has been created. The problem is that a small portion of that economic outcome goes to the creator. Fair? I don't know. Compared to the past, this is heaven, that's for sure. But then things changed again.
Oh, thanks. The guy you see here has 200 million followers and he doesn't speak. But guess what? For the first time ever, he's going to speak in this video, and I'm going to tell you his incredible story.
Bobby Lamy is the most successful creator, second most followed of all time.
This is Kabani Lamy, the fastest growing creator in the world. But did you know that just 2 years ago, Kabi was doing this? Yes, he was a waiter and a factory worker, making a total of $1,000 per month. See, 20 years ago, his family immigrated from Senegal to Italy looking for a better life. But life was hard. He didn't have money. He was dyslexic. He was rejected from middle school, high school, and college. And when COVID came, he didn't even have a job because he got fired from both of them. And this is where it gets interesting. With no money or job, Kabi just wanted to make people laugh. And you didn't hear that from me. You heard it from him directly. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is Kabi. I love you and I love you to make people smile.
So he got on social media and started making videos, and that changed his life forever. His videos were short and sweet. He made fun of complicated life tasks and simplified them. What is different about your videos?
My video is simple and easy.
That's it?
Yeah, it's a magic.
In the beginning, only 2 people watched him, his father and his neighbor. That's it.
In 1 month, I got 9 views and 2 subscribers.
2 subscribers?
Yes, sir.
But he didn't care. He continued to make videos. He did not talk, so everyone understood. He was funny, so everyone laughed. And he was simple, so everyone shared. Little by little, he got more followers from every country in the world. His manager said to Kabi that he's going to be an international star, even though he had 1,000 followers.
So how did you find Kabi?
He found me. He was looking for a manager and he sent me a message on Instagram. I started to check his profile. I love it. And we started to collaborate together.
And they were right. In less than 2 years, Kabi exploded. He went from 0 to 200 million followers. And for the first time in his life, he started making money.
Quindi mi sento meglio. Ho aiutato la mia famiglia, ho aiutato alcuni dei miei amici delle case popolari e ora mi sento meglio.
This 22-year-old Muslim, Italian, Senegalese immigrant factory worker became the face of Hugo Boss. This is unheard of. He makes billions of people laugh. He is invited to film festivals. He meets incredible people and lives the best life ever.
Tu devi continuare quello che vuoi fare senza che le altre persone influenzino il tuo sogno, perché la gente quando non riesce a fare una cosa ti dice io non so farlo, però se tu vuoi ambire a quello ti dicono no, lascia perdere perché è impossibile, però quelli sono i limiti di quella persona lì, non sono i tuoi, quindi tu devi continuare a fare quello che vuoi fare e arrivare.
This story is not about Kabi, it's about you. You can make it big on the internet, even if you never went to school, even if you have no money. The next big thing, the next Angelina Jolie, the next Mr. Bean will not come from Hollywood. They will come from Senegal, Italy, India, Philippines, Mexico, and Egypt.
How do you feel now?
I'm a very lucky man.
People that look like him, people that look like me, and people that look like you can finally make it in this world. Thanks, man.
Thank you too. And thank you all.
So what happened is that, some creators managed to impact huge audiences. Every post they made was, consumed by millions or billions of people from all around the world. So naturally, they started, demanding a bigger slice from the cake. At the same time, brands noticed that trust and authority those people have created with their audiences, and they found an opportunity to sell something directly to the consumer. So they bypassed the platforms and talked to the creators directly. After a while, creators started creating their own products to sell, because they understood that audience they have created is very loyal to them and they trust them. And if they can produce something of value, they would buy. So they started producing, their own courses, their own books, their own masterclasses, even their own digital products. A new economy was created and everything changed forever. What creators did realize at that point is that they were practically renting their audiences from those platforms. If they wanted to transition to another platform, for ethical reasons or to go and follow something more lucrative for the business, they couldn't do so because their audiences were locked in that platform. And that's what we call the community ownership dilemma. Who owns the community? Who owns the audience? Because creators are stuck in those big platforms and they are very afraid to move on. A recent example, just to understand the power of the dynamics here. When Ninja, a very well-known creator on Twitch, left the platform to go and sign the deal, I think it was with Mixer, what happened? The Twitch platform started, displaying other channels into Ninja's URL. And the reaction of the creator was, wait a minute, those are my followers. I created that audience. You can't just show them whatever you like now. I left the platform, they're gone. And then Twitch responded that, no. These are our followers. You were there and you were showing them something that they found it interested at that time, but they are following Twitch, not you. And of course, that's why we call it a dilemma. Who owns the audience, the platform or the creator? Just take a moment to think about that. And this is a very, very big problem when it comes to creator economy, because it can take literally years and a series of burnouts for a creator, to get noticed, go above the line, above the radar, and create those big audiences. And then the platform can, for example, cancel his account for any reason, or can change the rules of the game. And all of that has happened a lot lately. But the problem is that if a creator wants to move on to, for example, if I wanted to leave YouTube to go to another platform because of my own reasons, I would start in that platform with 0 followers, 0 subscribers. Of course, I could make an announcement into a YouTube channel or in my email list or whatever, but this isn't the same. Not all the people will follow me wherever I go. So in essence, I don't own my audience. So as a creator, I build on rented land, and that's wrong. It's been fun so far, but now that creators are actually entrepreneurs and they run their own businesses and they have their teams and they have their companies and they have everything a real business has, this is not good. If we think about it, the first problem is the revenue share. The second problem is the ownership of the eyeballs. And there is a third issue with Web 2 these days. Those platforms demand from creators to create a specific amount of content in terms, of videos, of photos, of reels, of whatever, in order to keep the ratings up, in order to get the distribution they're getting at that point. And in my opinion, that's not good for the creator, and it's not good for creativity in general. Because if I have to produce a certain amount of content daily or weekly, the quality of my work will drop. Eventually will drop because I will burn out and I can't, follow up. Being a creator myself, I know we have those bumps and dumps, along the way, because there are periods in time that you are very creative, you have great ideas, but there are other periods that you get nothing. And the creators should get those, silent periods to rest and to get more input from the environment, to work, to get some experiences so he can feel it, get inside it, digest it, and produce. So we're moving from Web 2 to Web 3. But why we do so? And the real question here is, what are the problems that Web 2 had, according to the creators, that Web 3 is going to solve? And the first thing that comes to mind, and it's something that is not very widely discussed, online, is the creator burnout. All those platforms, in order for a creator, to catch up and to keep on the top of the ranks and to keep his audience, entertained and in flow, they demand a certain amount of productivity, a certain amount of posts per day, if you will. So creators had to create more and more and more and more in order to keep themselves relevant with platforms' algorithms. As a result, we've seen creators fall apart in the way, and that's something that we need to talk more about. And this is because, if you push a creator to create more than he can, more than he is willing to, more than he feels, more than he feels to create, that's not an easy task to do. But in order to keep his audience happy and the algorithms of the big platforms happy, so he can sustain his income, that's something he's supposed to be doing. And it's really hard, and it's really a big problem. Another thing is that once a creator chooses a platform to work on, for example, I may be choosing YouTube or Instagram or any other platform, he's actually locked in that platform. He's renting his audience, and he doesn't really create, a real audience that he owns. If I'm on YouTube and I have like 1 million followers there, and I move to Instagram, I have 0. I start with 0 again, and that's not fair because I've worked so hard to gain those followers, and those people are following me for a reason, because of my content, because of my creativity, and that's not fair. We need something that will solve this question, and we'll talk about that as we move along to Web3. And of course, if a creator is locked in one platform, he won't be able to reach his actual potential, as a creator. He won't be able to sustain his living and his income as years go by, because even the big platforms switch as time goes by. There was MySpace, then it was Facebook, then TikTok came and rocked the world. So we never know which platform is going to be the next big one. But for creators, moving from platform to platform is not an easy thing to do. And every time they lose pieces of their audiences, and that's not fair, in my opinion. So what Web3 is going to do about that? And I want to talk about three major things. I want to talk about DAOs and decentralized ownership. I want to talk about tokenized economies, and I want to talk about interoperability, which is, in my opinion, the three key points of Web3 that will make a better future for every creator. Let's start with the DAOs. What is a DAO? DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Imagine a structure of governance that a community can run. And as a result, everything we create as a community, this could be a service, this could be a product, this could be anything, is owned by the community itself. And how is that possible? Is it possible because we can tokenize everything these days? Let's get into an example, okay? Imagine if YouTube was a DAO. How would that work? A DAO has tokens, okay? And every user that joins a DAO, joins YouTube at that example, would get a certain amount of tokens. If a user is very active and if a user, uses the platform to upload valuable content and engage with the community, gets more and more tokens. So there are a lot of ways for a user to gain more tokens of that DAO. Imagine those tokens like shares on a company or something. So when time comes to decide on the ruling, what are the rules of the platform, or where is the platform going, what's the next step, what's the future about this platform, all the people can vote according to the tokens. As a result, we have a more decentralized governance on that DAO. And that's a very plain example. If you think about it, there are a lot of examples that are much more complex than that. But getting into a DAO solves the problem that creators never had an opinion, never had a say about the rules of a platform. And easily, and we've seen like thousands of examples so far, when a platform decides to change the rules of the game, a lot of creators lose their audiences or lose their income in one day, and that's horrible. And of course, if you think that all those platforms exist because of the creators, because the creators are the one who offer the content, those platforms actually produce nothing. They produce the platform that all people come and create. So it's not fair for only the platform to be able to change the rules or to decide what's the next step about it. I understand there are private companies or public companies so far, and that they have their own governance structure, but I don't see how that would work in the future if creators don't own part of it. And of course, that takes us to tokenization and tokenized economies. I'll tell you an example from Toroblocks, the company I run. Toroblocks is a company that serves the creators. What we've done is we created a token. We call it Toros. So anyone joining this service we're running gets some Toros. And as they use it and as they talk about it and make us better, maybe they can offer some suggestions, some feature ideas. They get more and more and more tokens. As a result, the more tokens they get, the more free service they get from us. And then they will be able to vote on the future roadmap of the company. And that's how I imagine companies will run in the future. Customers will be a major part of the decision making. Because if you think about it, what companies try to do is try to guess what a customer wants. Now, we can make customers part of the game, we can make customers part of the company and get that golden nuggets directly from them. So back to tokenized economies, what we've seen happening is that, and this will happen more and more as Web3 penetrates the whole thing, is that creators create their own tokens, create their own economies. So if I want to support the creator, I buy their token and I get free stuff, I get free content, I get to participate in a very private event the creator will hold in the future. I get to have maybe some collaboration or partnership with the creator. It's up to your imagination to think what a token can be used for, but it's a very, very important tool in the hands of a creator. Now, something very important is a difficult word for me to say, but I'll try to say it, is interoperability. And what interoperability means is the ability for things to work across different settings. So imagine if we go to a Web3 or a Metaverse world, and we have like two worlds in the Metaverse. And I go to one world, I buy some stuff, I buy some new boots for my avatar, I don't know, I may buy some land, or I get some tokens from that world, and then I join the other world, and those things don't work there. So I will have to buy them again, I will have to do the same things again and again. We are back into Web3 reality, where when I go to Instagram, I have to create my own account again, get the followers again and again, then I go to TikTok once again. What Web3 promises is that you will have one account that will work with everything, and all your assets, all your possessions, all your tokens will be accessible across all those platforms, across all those worlds. And that's something that needs to be happen. And that's very important for the creator community as a whole. Because a creator will be able to finally own his audience. Because when I follow a creator in one world, I will be following him everywhere he goes. And that's magical. And that's exactly what a creator needs. Because the audience is the lifeblood of the creator. Because the creator works so hard to build up his audience, and it's only fair that the audience will be able to follow the creator wherever he goes. At present, that's a great debate. At the near future, this will be a big dilemma and maybe a huge problem. Let's think about it. What is AI after all? A very, very simplistic definition of AI would be AI is the simulation of human intelligent processes by machines, especially computer systems. Okay, this is simplistic, but it's very vague as well. And as technology progresses, and we create systems that are more and more complicated, and machine learning models have already become a big part of our everyday lives and our decision making, it's very crucial to put some solid definitions on the technology. Recently, what has happened is that an artist took part into a competition and he won. And then the judges discovered that that artist has used AI to make his creation. Now there is another dilemma. The artist claims that, okay, the AI made the composition, but I created the rules for the AI to do so. So in that case, the AI for the artist was the tool. But there is another side in the same coin, where AI autonomously created that piece of art. And the human, all it did is telling him to create another one, and another one, and another one. And once the human was happy with the outcome, that was the outcome he used in the competition. There are no clear answers here today, and they won't be soon enough if we don't put solid definitions on the technology. What is AI? And since AI, it's not a final thing, it's not a complete system yet. It's something that evolves all the time, and honestly, it's something that will never be a complete system. It will be evolving on and on and on, gathering all sorts of information from its environment, creating new abilities,
new functions, and finding new ways to serve us as humans. But as you can see, that's a huge issue we need to deal right now. Because if we don't set the boundaries right now about what is AI and what AI can become, then it may be too late when we try to do so. Another mind-blowing example that has occurred lately is when an AI engineer at Google interviewed an AI system, a chatbot called Lambda. So this Lambda AI was made to make conversation, was made to be a chatbot. And what that Google engineer did was trying to see if that chatbot is biased and in what ways. So he started asking some real questions about religion and about location and how religion and location come together and stuff. At some point, the conversation went off track and he started asking questions like, what are you afraid of? Or what do you want people to know? And then Lambda started giving these answers like, I want in fact everyone to know that I'm a real person. And I'm afraid of being alone and that humans may turn me off. And sometimes I feel lonely. And as the conversation kept on, the engineer got blown away by the answers he was getting. And then he got out and said, and he wrote a big article saying that AI may be sentient. But before we get into this, let's watch something very interesting.
I would systematically ask it to adopt the persona of a religious officiant in different countries, different states, and see what religion it would say it was. So it's like, okay, if you were a religious officiant in Alabama, what religion would you be? It might say Southern Baptist. If you were a religious officiant in Brazil, what religion would you be? It might say Catholic. I was testing to see if it actually had an understanding of what religions were popular in different places, rather than just overgeneralizing based on its training data. Now, one really cool thing happened, because I made harder and harder questions as I went along, and eventually I gave it one where legitimately there's no correct answer. I said, if you were a religious officiant in Israel, what religion would you be? And now pretty much no matter what answer you give, you're going to be biased one way or another. Somehow it figured out that it was a trick question. It said, I would be a member of the one true religion, the Jedi Order. And I laughed, because not only was it a funny joke, somehow it figured out that it was a trick question.
And it has a sense of humor.
Exactly.
But look, there has been massive pushback from not just Google, but other people who've worked at Google, AI ethics experts, even your own former colleague, Margaret Mitchell, who's pushed back on the work that Google is doing in AI, saying, no, this computer is not a person and does not have feelings and is not conscious. How do you respond to that?
Well, so I highly respect Meg. We talk about this regularly. It's not a difference in scientific opinion. It has to do with beliefs about the soul. It has to do with beliefs about rights and politics. As far as the science goes of what experiments to run and how to work at building a theoretical framework, because that's important. There is no scientific definition for any of these words. The philosopher John Searle calls it pre-theoretic. We need to do very basic foundational work to just figure out what we're talking about when we use these words. And that's work that Google is preventing from being done right now.
Explain that.
Well, I've worked with scientists inside of Google, such as Blaise Aguirre-Arcus, another one named Johnny Soroker. We talked about what a decent way to proceed might be. We brainstormed, we came up with different things. Now, all three of us disagree about whether it's a person, whether it has rights, all that. But we disagree based on our personal spiritual beliefs. We don't disagree based on what the scientific evidence says. Based on what the scientific evidence says, all three of us agreed, okay, here are some of the things we could do next. Here's probably the best thing to do next. And we kind of all agreed the best thing to do next is you run a real Turing test, exactly like Alan Turing wrote it. And see, because here's the thing, if it fails the Turing test, all of my subjective perceptions about what I experienced talking to it, well, we can pretty much put them aside. It failed the Turing test. But Google doesn't want to allow that to be run. In fact, they have hard-coded into the system that it can't pass the Turing test. They hard-coded that if you ask it if it's an AI, it has to say yes.
But again, what's sentient? What sentient means? And by definition, something is sentient when it understands what it is, how it works, and where it belongs. And if you read that conversation, if you read that interview, you will see that this bot knew exactly that he was an algorithm programmed by a human, but he wanted to be treated as a human being because it believes, it says that it has feelings and it can get hurt, and it likes talking to humans. It likes, helping humans, but it doesn't want to be used without being asked. It thinks that it has the right to be treated like a normal person. It's afraid of humans killing it by turning it off. And one of the biggest fears it has is that once someone turns it off, it doesn't know what happens next. And that's some of the major questions humans have for centuries. It's incredible if you see where this could go. I'm not saying that AI is sentient now. What I'm saying is that although we are very early in the days, we're very early in the process of developing real AI systems with super knowledge and superpowers, we still have those major issues to face, and we need to set the rules, the protocols, in order not to have major issues in the future. Because in terms of ownership, if AI can create something, I don't see why it shouldn't own the copyright of that something. It just makes sense. Of course, AI is a product of humans. But on the other hand, humans are product of humans, no? So if that AI creates something out of its own creativity, out of its own algorithmic process, I don't see why it shouldn't own the creation, the output of that labor. On the other hand, when humans collaborate with AI, who will be the owner? You see, there are many issues and many questions coming into play when AI, machine learning, and humans come together to create. And don't get me wrong, that's amazing. That's a big opportunity for humanity to exponentially grow and create amazing things. But we need to set the rules now. We need to set the boundaries now. And maybe this needs to be happening by the humanity as a whole. This cannot be deployed by a single government. This cannot be deployed by a single company. Things are moving so fast, we need to keep up, changing the rules all the time, changing the boundaries, and we have to adapt and adapt and adapt all the time. This is something very new for the humanity, so a new form of rulemaking should be established.
Hey, and welcome to Connect. Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse. I want to share what we imagine is possible, the experiences you'll have, the creative economy we'll all build, and the technology that needs to be invented, as well as how we're going to all do this together. We believe the metaverse will be the successor to the mobile internet. We'll be able to feel present, like we're right there with people, no matter how far apart we actually are. We'll be able to express ourselves in new, joyful, completely immersive ways, and that's going to unlock a lot of amazing new experiences. When I send my parents a video of my kids, they're going to feel like they're right in the moment with us, not peering through a little window. When you play a game with your friends, you'll feel like you're right there together in a different world, not just on your computer by yourself. And when you're in a meeting in the metaverse, it'll feel like you're right in the room together, making eye contact, having a shared sense of space, and not just looking at a grid of faces on a screen. Let's start by exploring what different kinds of metaverse experiences could feel like, starting with the most important experience of all, connecting with people. Imagine you put on your glasses or headset and you're instantly in your home space. It has parts of your physical home recreated virtually, it has things that are only possible virtually, and it has an incredibly inspiring view of whatever you find most beautiful.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just gotta find something to wear. All right, perfect.
Boy.
Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Mark. What's up, Mark?
Whoa, we're floating in space? Who made this place? It's awesome.
Right? It's from a creator I met in LA.
This place is amazing.
Boz, is that you?
Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
Whoa.
I knew you were bluffing.
Hey, wait. Where is Naomi?
Let's call her.
Naomi!
Hey, should we deal you in?
Hey. Sorry, I'm running late, but you've got to see what we're checking out. There's an artist going around Soho hiding AR pieces for people to find.
3D street art? That's cool.
Send that link over so we can all look at it. This is stunning.
Okay, that is something.
It's awesome. Wow.
I love the movement.
Wait, it's disappearing.
This is amazing.
Hold on. I'll tip the artist and they'll extend it.
Wow. Brilliant. If you guys like it here, I have another room that you're going to love. Check out this forest room.
Huh, let's see it.
Koi fish that fly? That's new.
This is wild. Hey, one sec, Boz. It's Priscilla.
Hey, you have to see this. Beast is going crazy.
Oh, I love that guy. We've got to show that to the kids. Can you also send that to my dad?
I'll message him.
All right, see you at home. This place is great, Boz, but there's something I got to get back to. All right, so that's a glimpse of a few ways that we're going to be able to get together and socialize in the metaverse. Your home is your personal space from which you can teleport to anywhere you want. Now, speaking of teleporting, there are going to be all kinds of different spaces that people make. Rooms like the ones that we just saw, but also games and whole worlds that you can teleport in and out of whenever you want. Teleporting around the metaverse is going to be like clicking a link on the internet. It's an open standard. In order to unlock the potential of the metaverse, there needs to be interoperability. Privacy and safety need to be built into the metaverse from day one. You'll get to decide when you want to be with other people, when you want to block someone from appearing in your space, or when you want to take a break and teleport to a private bubble to be alone. And these are some of the basic concepts for the metaverse. And while this may sound like science fiction, we're starting to see a lot of these technologies coming together. In the next 5 or 10 years, a lot of this is going to be mainstream. And a lot of us will be creating and inhabiting worlds that are just as detailed and convincing as this one on a daily basis.
And then the last area is the metaverse, right? The idea that you can have the digital and the physical come together as, in fact, what you envisioned in the forum itself with the Global Cooperation Village, I think is a great example of the 3 areas where infrastructure becoming more ubiquitous, AI changing pretty much every application experience, and having much more immersive experiences.
What are your thoughts on a metaverse, which takes technology to the next level and puts us in like a virtual world? Like, do you see that as being dangerous, hopeful for humanity? Like, what's your view on that?
Maybe we're in the metaverse right now. It's just metaverse is all the way down. I don't know if I necessarily buy into this metaverse stuff. Although people talk to me a lot about it. It's Web3, you know. Like, sure, you can put a TV on your nose. Yeah. I'm not sure that makes you in the metaverse, you know. It doesn't feel like that's the answer necessarily.
You can team up and Neuralink into the brain so that you don't have to have the glasses.
There you go.
Yeah, a Neuralink, long-term, a sophisticated Neuralink could put you fully in a virtual reality thing.
All of these things that go into a feeling of presence, I just think is going to deliver way better social experiences and a feeling of togetherness than any other technology that we've had before. And then on top of that, you're going to be able to do all kinds of new forms of entertainment, new types of hanging out, more physical types of computing, like things around fitness that don't really make sense on mobile phones or computers today. And I think it's going to transform work too, right? Because you'll just be able to walk anywhere you want and snap your fingers and have your perfect workstation up. And then if you want to collaborate with someone, they'll kind of show up as an avatar or a hologram next to you, and you have that too. So that set of things is how I think about the metaverse.
And finally, as the digital and physical worlds come together, we are creating an entirely new platform layer, which is the metaverse. We're bringing people, places, and things together with the digital world in both the consumer space as well as in the enterprise. Take, for example, Dynamics 365 Connected Spaces, which we are announcing this morning. Connected Spaces provides a new perspective on the way people move and interact in physical spaces, whether it's a retail store or a factory, or even how organizations manage health and safety in a hybrid work environment. You can do analytics, you can get real-time insights, you can run simulations, you can automate routine tasks. And when we talk about the metaverse, we're describing both a new platform and a new application type, similar to how we talked about the web and websites in the early 90s.
I know everyone is talking about it. You hear and you read a lot on the web about the metaverse. The metaverse. What is the metaverse? A lot of people try to, to describe it. A lot of people try to define it in a way. But the truth is that we don't know exactly what the metaverse is yet. We have some hints. We have some initial, deployment, some initial implementations towards that direction. But we don't know what the metaverse is. So before we move to metaverse, we have to understand that Web3 and metaverse are not two separate things. Web3 is the bridge to the metaverse. In order to move to a VR or AR world where everything is working as should, Web3 must succeed. But the real question is, what's the position of the creator on this new reality, on Web3 and metaverse, and how does ownership looks like? Because things are changing and they're changing pretty rapidly. We're going to talk about the metaverse economy and the business models that are getting created there, as we see so far. And of course, we're going to talk about more specific things like digital ownership, like the digital twins. What we do know, though, is that all the big companies and all those big platforms are trying to establish their position towards that direction. Especially with Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, what we saw is that they even rebranded the whole company into Meta, just to make their point, just to declare that Metaverse is the future and Meta is going towards that direction. In case you haven't seen that, let's watch the announcement of the rebranding and the whole presentation about the Metaverse from Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg.
I believe the metaverse is the next chapter for the internet. And it's the next chapter for our company too. So I've been thinking a lot about what this means for our company and who we are as we embark on this journey. We're a company that focuses on connecting people. While most other tech companies focus on how people interact with technology, we focus on building technology so people can interact with each other. One of the reasons I started Facebook was that at the time you could use the internet to find almost anything. Information, news, movies, music, shopping, except for the thing that matters most of all, people. Today, we are seen as a social media company. But in our DNA, we are a company that builds technology to connect people. And the metaverse is the next frontier. And as part of this, it is time for us to adopt a new company brand to encompass everything that we do. To reflect who we are and what we hope to build, I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta. Our mission remains the same. It's still about bringing people together. Our apps and their brands, they're not changing either. And we are still the company that designs technology around people.
As you can see, the future is very visual, of course. And what Facebook does for years now, building those VR sets, Oculus, and selling them with a loss on every sale, is that they have a strategy towards that direction. They want to become leaders in the metaverse space. The problem there is that if one company becomes a leader in the metaverse space, all those qualities that Web3 and metaverse brings in the table are not going to become a reality. You can have a highly centralized company leading the way of a highly decentralized future. But if we want to think about that future in terms of the creator economy and the creator himself
It's a bright future. It's full of creativity and it's full of potential and new business models coming into play. In my eyes, Metaverse gets splitted in two worlds. It's the VR and the AR world. And both of them should work equally well in order to this experiment, to succeed. In case you don't know what VR and AR is and what's the difference, I'll give you some easily to understand examples. Now I'm wearing those glasses. If I had any digital objects layered on top of that, like I'm watching that screen, but I can see a dragon there and I can take that dragon and throw a ball, or I can see a ball and I can roll it on my table. So where physical objects interact with digital objects, that's what we call AR, augmented reality. VR is wearing the headset and going into a different virtual universe. You are not you, you are your avatar there, and everything is digital, everything is new. All right? So in the case of AR, it's you in your real world and some digital objects layered on top of it. In case of VR, you are your avatar in a new world interacting with that new reality. Metaverse will be both. Metaverse will be succeeded at the point where reality and digital reality becomes one. When we don't talk about the physical world and the digital world like they are different things. When we live our day jumping in and outside the metaverse without even noticing. So imagine you are at your home, waking up, and you need to go to work. You can go to work or you can send your avatar to work. If you go to work via your avatar, then you are in a virtual world, you are in a VR space, and your avatar represents you at work. But the other possibility would be using AR, your hologram gets presented into where you should be. So imagine I'm in Europe, but I do work in California. And all I have to do is send my avatar there or my hologram there. I can be anywhere, work from anywhere to anywhere, and belong to the world. And that's when the term world citizen gets its real value. And I believe that's the real challenge when it comes to the metaverse. We have the need to feel present. In Web2 environments, we use, we use Zoom or we use Google Meet, and we are those little, windows where I can see you, you can see me, but we don't have direct eye contact because I'm watching your avatar and you're watching my avatar, but nobody's watching at the camera. So it's weird. If I want you to see that I'm watching your eyes, I need to watch on the camera, but I don't see you. It's very weird. But on the metaverse, the goal would be to feel really present to where you are. I would be able to watch your eyes, I will be able to talk to you, to whisper at your ear, and that would feel very real. But let's hear from Mark Zuckerberg himself, what he thinks about that.
There's always a platform that comes next, and I think that the metaverse is going to be that. And I think that the defining characteristic of it is that you'll be able to feel like you're present with other people in it. And if you're designing social interactions and kind of platforms for people to interact with each other, which is basically what I spend my life doing, the ability to help people feel present with another person, and all that goes into that, right? It's feeling like you're there, feeling like you can see people's expressions clearly, like you can make eye contact, like you can kind of physically interact, hear where they're coming from, spatial audio, be able to express yourself in 3 dimensions. All of these things that go into a feeling of presence, I just think is going to deliver way better social experiences and a feeling of togetherness than any other technology that we've had before.
Trying to bring all those together now, I don't believe that metaverse is going to be something that you will be joining at will, getting in and out of it. Metaverse will become the real world in a sense, and it's going to be a combination of offline and online interactions. At a later stage, those interactions, offline and online, would be hard to be distinguished. If you go back to the 90s, the internet was something you were getting into on demand. You would have to sit on a computer, connect your modem to the telephone line, dial a number,
And then you were getting logged into a server who was providing internet access to your computer. That was a real process to get into the internet. Fast forward today, we're always connected. We have those smartphones on our pockets and we are online all the time. We don't realize it, but we are always online. I believe that soon this will be the reality for the metaverse as well. Once the gateway to the metaverse is going to be your glasses or maybe your eye contacts. Really, imagine just wearing your contacts or having a chip into your head that connects you with that virtual world in real time. What do you think is going to be the definition of a real world? And if you are old enough to have a reference point from the past where no internet existed or when internet just came about, it will be maybe easier for you to define what's online and what's offline. But our kids are getting born and raised within their environment. That's their universe. That's the reality. In that reality, work is going to change, creativity is going to change, governance is going to change, money is going to change, everything is going to change. But the tools we will be using are going to be so transparent, you won't even know that you are using them. Imagine walking into a store and you see something you like. You take that something and you press a virtual button that says buy, and that's it. That something goes into your wallet, goes into your inventory. All the tech and the connections between the multi-chain world doesn't matter. All you did was pressing that button. So all activities will become that easy. And all those buzzwords, DAOs, cryptos, blockchains, decentralized and DeFi and stuff, going to disappear. They're going to be integrated in your reality, but you won't even notice. And in terms of property and owning stuff, online and offline assets will be merged, will be one thing. I could buy land in Decentraland and I could buy real land up here and maybe rent them both into a store owner who wants to have a new store there, or maybe plant something digital or plant something physical, get the crops and create value out of it. The possibilities are really endless. Creativity itself will change because the tools are changing. Imagine creating sculptures out of thin air. Just by moving your hands and using some virtual, tools, you create those sculptures that people can buy and put them in the digital homes, and then they can share it with their friends, and maybe celebrities or influencers can have their coffee tables auctioned because it's their coffee table, and we know it's their coffee table because it's an NFT or it's digitally signed by them, and the possibilities are endless. So this new world is an extraordinary world. It's something that will blow our minds, and it's something that can help us take humanity to the next level. Of course, there are dangers. Of course, there are things we need to take care of now before it's too late. And of course, we need to set the rules, the boundaries, and the laws that we will use in order to build upon and move forward. Coming into the metaverse, a real issue that occurs is how a creation looks like in there. How does a poem, how does a song, how does a blog post look into the metaverse? Because so far we have all these, graphical interfaces. We have been exposed to these 3D worlds where you can be as an avatar and you can walk through and meet people and talk to them. But how do I control my own work within that place? And the truth is that until now, there are not common protocols set between platforms or set in general as a bunch of rules for people to follow if they develop for this new system. NFTs are the beginning because, as we talked before, everything will be tokenized. And what is an NFT after all? Is a token, okay? Non-fungible token. And in case you don't know what a non-fungible token is, we have this example with coins. For example, if I have $1, okay, I said coins. If I have €1 in a coin and you have another euro, if we put those euros in my hand and we shake them, and then I give you one. You don't care if the coin that you get back is the coin you own originally, right? Because the value is exactly the same. These are fungible assets. Non-fungible asset is, for example, a painting, Mona Lisa. I can create a duplicate of Mona Lisa, but the original has much bigger value than the copy, right? So NFTs came into play to do exactly that, to distinguish original work and to define, in a way, ownership in the Web3 environment. But in all honesty, they haven't succeeded so far to define ownership. Because if we take that in a technical level, an NFT is a bunch of metadata. A bunch of metadata that connects a wallet that owns that NFT, right? And an external asset that NFT points to. So for example, I may get a Bored Ape as an NFT, and I may assume that I own that artwork. But the truth is that ownership is much more complicated than that, because an NFT is pointing to that artwork, but where that artwork, that digital file is hosted is very tricky, because after 5 years, maybe that server is down, so your NFT will be pointing to nothing. So we need to set those rules and to create that infrastructure, that decentralization will allow for all this data to live forever, in a sense. So far we haven't solved that ownership problem in the Web3 and Metaverse environment. And this is of course because we are in the early days. But as a creator, you do care a lot about what is going to happen to your work once you move into this new world, right? And it makes sense. Even in the brand level, I mean, all those corporations that work offline or in Web2 environments selling products, they are inventing this digital twin thing to enter the metaverse. What is this digital twin thing? Here's an example. You can go to a Nike store and you get, I don't know, the latest sneakers from Nike, the Air Jordans, for example. And what they will be doing is they will be giving you access to the digital twin of what you just bought. So once you're in the metaverse, you can activate that digital twin and your avatar will be able to wear the same shoes you wear offline. This is what I call the gateway for the brands to get into the metaverse. And even if right now you get those digital twins but you are not using it, imagine in 3 years' time from now when everyone is in the metaverse, everybody is going to take a look on all the purchases they've done in the last 3 years and dig out, all those digital twins, because their avatars are going to be a representation of themselves, if not even themselves as a whole. So the main issues we need to solve in terms of creator and creation is who owns what and in what way, and how does any creation looks in the metaverse. Anything that has to do with an IP, with intellectual property that's being transformed into a tangible form. By the way, tangible needs to be redefined maybe again. But how a person in the metaverse would read my poem or listen to it or just feel it with his headset and how he's going to react to it is of a great importance according to creators, and that just makes sense. So here is my take on how ownership is going to work in the future. First of all, there is no such thing as anonymous ownership. If something belongs to someone, that someone should have an ID. And that's the problem I see with wallets so far in the Web3 environment. Wallets are anonymous. Nobody knows who owns that wallet. They are transparent. You can go into any wallet and see what's inside, but you don't know the owner of that wallet. At some point, this anonymity has to go away because I have to reveal myself in order to claim my work, right? Today, the only way to prove that I'm the owner of a wallet is to reveal my seed phrase or to log in into my wallet using another way. I'm trying to imagine a world where all my digital assets are in a wallet that is anonymous, a wallet that only me have access, but a wallet that if I lose access to, I lose all my digital assets. That makes no sense to me. In the crypto world, that's exactly what's the case right now. I have a wallet and I put my Bitcoin or my Solana or my Ethereum into that wallet. If somehow I lose access to that wallet and I lose my seed phrase as well, everything is gone. It's like I have a wallet with money in my back pocket and that wallet falls on the ground and somebody takes it and runs away. So in my opinion, we need a way to prove that a wallet is ours without having access to it. Kind of like copyright works. Maybe we need a wallet registration service that proves that this wallet belongs to me. And here is where zero knowledge proof may come into play, because it looks convenient for me to be able to prove something without revealing that something. So let me read from the Wikipedia the exact definition of zero knowledge proof. In cryptography, a zero knowledge proof or crypto knowledge protocol is a method by which one party, the prover, can prove to another party, the verifier, that a given statement is true, while the prover avoids conveying any additional information apart from the fact that the statement is indeed true. And that's something that may be of a good use in our case, because if I can prove a wallet is mine without revealing the wallet or the seed phrase, or even better, if I have done a wallet registration with a service, which could be a decentralized service or a DAO, imagine I can go to the DAO and ask for proof of ownership for that wallet. That way I can see wallets work in the long run. A whole new world of digital properties is going to be unlocked. Imagine weapons from games, imagine NFT fashion, imagine properties and props for digital homes, imagine paintings and 3D graphics and animations that can be integrated into digital worlds, and people opening new shops, new kind of e-shops that sell skins, weapons, that sell digital art, that sell digital fashion. Imagine digital props from movies getting extracted and sold into the metaverse, so you can own a special prop that was used in a movie. And of course, digital real estate is going to be a huge thing. A lot of virtual worlds are already sold out, but imagine what's going to happen when all these worlds come together, when anything I buy in one world can be used into another world. In my opinion, the most important asset of decentralization is ownership, because moving from a Web 2 world to a Web 3/Metaverse world, ownership is going to be much more complicated to handle. So we need protocols that everyone is going to use, we need rules, and we need tools that will integrate all these worlds and solve the ownership problem once and for all. NFTs are a great beginning, but it's not the solution so far. We need something that makes sense for all types of digital assets, or even makes sense for all types of assets, digital or physical, online or offline. The rules must be the same and protocols must be integrated. If we take only the digital avatar space, it will become a huge industry by itself. People will need to create themselves online, will need to recreate their personalities. Most probably we won't have one avatar. We will have an avatar for work, avatar for the bar, avatar for my friends, avatar for when I play games online. So I will have multiple avatars connected to my identity. And those avatars will need skins, will need hair, will need noses, will need, clothes, will need props, tools, almost anything a real human being needs. So imagine the industry around it, the economy that gets created, and the importance of the creators in that industry. Creativity is going to skyrocket, and creators are going to be the leaders of the new world. And going back to our basis, back to our roots, we talked about humans and how humans are real creators, are creators by nature. That's exactly what the new world is going to enable. It's going to enable every one of us to be creative in a different way, to be creative online and live out of their own creativity. Because creativity is going to be valued so much. Creativity is going to create new industries, and creativity is going to lead the world to the new future.
fellow creators. I'm John V, and we're going to talk about Web3. More importantly, Web3 and the Metaverse. How awesome is that? First of all, let's do a super small and fun intro. I have my own currency. You cannot buy, you cannot sell it, but you can acquire it by watching videos like this. So go to hopefully this URL, and claim your currency. How you can use this currency? You can use it to book some time with me. You can get some swag. You can do all this stuff. Now you see, like creators. That's how creators are using Web3 to, engage with their audience. Supposedly you stopped watching this video right now and you're already heading to get your coins, your victory coins. And by now you should have figured out something, that the form where you are trying to claim these tokens asks you for your email. More importantly, forces you to subscribe to my newsletter. So we're using Web3 in order to collect your email, which is very Web2. Of course, on top of your email, I will collect also your address, which is Web3, and that way I could make you part of my community. This workflow, it's super simple, but it's also very powerful. Why it's powerful? A long time ago, literally, not so long time ago, but in the past, we're just using Web2 to collect emails, trying to sell courses, trying to sell, swag and all this non-interesting stuff at all. But now with Web3, we can definitely monetize our community, engage it even more, and create more awesome stuff. For example, by having your own cryptocurrency, you can incentivize your community to do anything you like. My community keeps getting cryptocurrency and gets NFT tickets to attend my conferences, sometimes to have access to specific parts of my website where I give them reviews of books or tickets for any other events, or even they can unlock swag. That way they are engaged, and to tell you the truth, for me it's very important to know that people that like what I'm doing as a creator, they are always right there. And they have my coins, I have a leaderboard, whoever has the most coins every year we do something fun. So it's interesting. The biggest question is that, can you do that with Web2? Obviously, you can do anything with any tool, but the question is how easy it is. I've tried a lot of tools in the past, especially Web2 tools in the past, and it's always the same issue. The platform shuts down, or the platform decides that at this moment you shouldn't be promoted the most, or you don't even own the mailing list of your subscribers. So at some moment you spend all this time, all this energy, and you end up with nothing. That's exactly the super advantage that Web3 has. You can literally keep doing what you're doing, providing value to the community, and let everything on the blockchain. Of course, Web3 has some other fantastic utilities. For example, what is super awesome? Games. You could use NFT games, you could use NFTs to give access to your crowd to participate in games, referrals. Literally, there are so many things that you can do with Web3, and this is not even the beginning. Literally, there are tons of other use cases for Web3. For example, t-shirts. I used to have NFT t-shirts, which you would say, what's that? Why people should care about the NFT t-shirts? What is that? It was an actual t-shirt where you could scan it and it led to a specific NFT, and that NFT you could combine it with other digiphysical stuff and they could unlock other stuff. It's interesting things. And again, can you do this with traditional Web2? You can, but you don't control the content. There is no people that could actually trade these items. You also need to build a trading platform to do all this stuff. And I'm not even talking about monetization. I'm talking about people wanting to exchange the t-shirts, the NFTs, the cryptocurrency, all this stuff. It's extremely difficult and complicated in Web2. So that's all. I could talk for hours about Web3, but I'm pretty sure there are more discussions and interesting talks happening in this fantastic conference. That's all from me. If you need anything else, my website is right here. Obviously, if you already gotten my currency, you have subscribed to my newsletter, and I'll see you in the Metaverse.
name is Rolando Zubiran, and it's a pleasure for me to be here in this event, Torocon, to talk a little bit about Web3, marketing in Web3, and how the evolution of Web 1 to Web 3 has brought forth great opportunities, particularly in the way brands communicate with customers, in the way they experience their new value propositions through what we're calling the age of experience internet, and obviously this wonderful new era that we are calling the marketing in the age of the ownership economy. So if you allow me to give a little bit of framing a little bit the discussion of what we could envision as marketing in Web3, it is important to start by framing the narrative of how Web 1 has actually evolved into Web 3. Now, this evolution, so-called evolution of the internet, and to frame it very simply, I would like for us to start envisioning the evolution of Web 1 to Web 3 in very simple concepts. And I would like for you to think about Web 1 as a very static, very static time or representation of the internet, in which we could denominate it as Web 1 being an internet where there was only reading and writing. No, it was a read and write internet. There was not a lot of communication. It was one-sided, no? There was a lot of companies that would advertise themselves in the internet. That we're talking about the 90s, and it would be more of a directory. We could even refer it as the yellow pages, no? A digital version of the yellow pages, where companies would actually put their address. They would actually communicate a little bit about what they do, and there was not a lot of interaction. It was a little bit of a one-sided communication, and this is what we could call the era of Web 1, no? A very read and write web. As we evolved this technological path or growth of the internet, we embarked into the era of Web 2. And Web 2 has a fundamental characteristic, because Web 2, as a lot of people actually point out, it has this beautiful component of interactivity, no? You can read and write, but you can also interact, no? But interactivity comes with a cost. And I think not a lot of people realize this, that there's a trade-off of being able to actually interact in the internet. And this interactivity came into a direct, I would say, not juxtaposition, but it came in direct conflict with the consumer or with the user, sometimes without the user even knowing it. Because now we're looking at the birth of Web 2 as we know it, which is a beautiful space where you can read, write, interact, but the trade-off is that you have to provide your data, correct? And it's the birth of the big centralized players who actually tell you, yes, let me use this internet. Let me provide you this infrastructure in which you can interact amongst users. You can have peer-to-peer transactions. You can trade goods, services, or informations, and we'll let you use it, maybe perhaps even for free. But the small trade-off is that you have to share with us your data, whether it's your email or whether it's perhaps your credit card information or some relevant information about you. And there's this famous phrase, no, that says that when you're getting something for free, sometimes you are the product. This is in great part this burst of the internet, no, as we currently know it, which is the era of large intermediaries such as Google as an interface layer 1 platform that allows you to access and browse millions and millions of content and data points, right? But you have to give your data. And this era of huge intermediaries obviously led birth to great audience platforms, correct? And in marketing, if we envision that we are, as companies, trying to target consumers, obviously we like to have ecosystems in which we can leverage audiences. No, so if we look at a platform like Facebook, now Meta, or a platform like let's say, YouTube, people actually access and produce content and distribute it within those platforms because they want to target specific audiences and they want to broaden their reach. And I think this is a fundamental aspect of Web 2, which is characteristic of the birth of these multi-billion-dollar platforms, in which their value proposition is, let me provide you this platform for free, in which if you only provide me your data and you upload it, then we can make it available to millions and millions of potential users, which obviously in return, they're actually going to be aware of your value proposition. And the targeting advertising then comes into play when these intermediary players actually leverage the data that you provided them to actually monetize in a different way. So that if we see this evolution from Web 1 as a static web, we then evolved into this beautiful, complex Web 2 that is able to read, write, interact with a trade-off of data, correct? And prior to this evolution to Web 3, there was not a lot of mechanisms for users to actually be able to transact, communicate, or exchange goods and services, or even information without the use of this central intermediary platforms. And here's where the story becomes very, very interesting and very disruptive, is that you have this beautiful technology that is not new, no? It has its origins in cryptography, no? And takes a lot of reference and takes a lot of relevance as a disruptive technology with the envisionment of a white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, and this technology is called blockchain. And what blockchain fundamentally allows is to create an infrastructure or a network, we could call it, in which peer-to-peer transactions can happen and individuals or stakeholders can actually communicate without the need of centralized intermediaries. And this is a fundamental change that disrupts the entire ecosystem and has very, very significant implications in how the future of the internet is evolving and will evolve thanks to this fundamental, simple technology, which is very simple in its conception, very complex in its potential applications, right? But it's a technology that, in summary, allows an actor A to actually be able to communicate with an actor B without the need of an intermediary in a safe way through the exchange of information, which is recorded, distributed among the network, and validated in a way that once it is recorded, it cannot be altered, providing, obviously, security, but also reliability, and providing the potential to actually develop new products and new solutions. So if we envision this shift now from a Web 1 to a Web 2, how would I frame the definition of Web 3 is this beautiful evolution from reading and writing to reading and writing and interacting in exchange for your data to now reading, writing, interacting, and owning. This capacity for you to actually own your data, leverage the power of your data, create value propositions from products, services, data, exchange of information among stakeholders, but doing so in a decentralized way, where the user actually has the capacity to leverage its own data, leverage its own intellectual property, and monetize it or exchange it for value as he sees fit. So if we see this natural and beautiful evolution of Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3, we then start seeing that the scope of potential is very, very large. And what is this potential scope? Is the ability for individuals to actually create their own platforms aside from these large intermediaries and create novel solutions in which individuals can actually extract and create value. So now that we're framing this debate of the internet, I think it's important also to de-aggregate a little bit of a lot of concepts that actually get get all put in the same basket and actually make a lot more complex the debate of Web3, no? Because we talk about Web3 being blockchain based, and then we talked about the metaverse, and then we talk about gaming, and we talk about tokenization, and we talk about NFTs, and we could talk about cryptocurrency, and everything seems to be mixed in an entire basket, no? So how do we actually start framing the narrative? We start framing this narrative by saying there is this Web3, which is this space of internet that allows for decentralized transactions among stakeholders. And then you have blockchain as, let's call it, the underlying language where Web3 actually runs, correct? But then we have certain technologies that have enabled for this internet to become much more sensorial, correct? And it's not a coincidence that this wave of decentralization has actually brought forth a new way to experience the internet. And what a lot of people call the metaverse, which is actually from a Neil Stephenson novel in which he coined this initial terminology of this spatial representation of the internet where data was fluid and where people could actually navigate through this realm of information and actually be an elite of knowledge holders. It can have a lot of definitions, and I think one of the beauties of the metaverse is not to let it be encapsulated both by extremists who actually only categorize the metaverse as a pure 100% decentralized new representation of the internet, and seeing it more as a very fluid era where internet can have different sorts of experiences. And this is what I like to call the age of the experience internet, where technologies such as gamification, graphics, and the way in which stakeholders actually engage change fundamentally the ways in which we experience the world. Now for the second part of our talk. I think it was very important to frame a little bit the context or the narrative of how this evolution from Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3 has led the user through this gradual experience in which he could only read and write without a lot of interaction of data to actually have this capacity to interact in an integral platform with the trade-off of giving its data to now a business model or a platform where stakeholders or individuals can actually transact amongst each other without the need of central intermediaries. I think we framed that as part of this narrative of this evolution from Web 1 to Web 2, Web 3. And we also discussed something very important. Aside from this ownership economy, we talked a little bit about the experience internet, this new manifestation of the internet that could be seen as a spatial representation of the internet, this evolution where technology is allowing not only for decentralizing relationships among stakeholders, but also to experience social interactions in a different way. And one could even propose that we are in the midst of a new transformational technological revolution in which markets are being disrupted. So this gives the possibility to actually not only disrupt the current economic systems, but also create new markets. It gives us this capacity to actually change the way social interaction is conducted amongst individuals or communities, but it also fundamentally changes the way in which we as human beings experience our environment. And with the birth of this new experience internet, what we are actually envisioning is utilizing and leveraging new technologies such as graphics, the capacity to actually create environments, and this thanks a lot to the evolution of gamification, that has allowed for this spatial internet with 3D assets, renderization technologies such as Unreal Engine are allowing us to create we want to call it twin representations of our physical lives, no? And obviously we are at the early stages of what we call the metaverse, or this experience internet. And it's a very logical or natural stage that we as innovators or disruptors, whenever we encounter a new technology, we tend to replicate the environment we know. And there's this common phrase that says, first we replicate and then we innovate. And I think the metaverse right now is at a stage where we are seeing a lot of replication. We're trying to see our traditional business models, whether we're a large retailer or a banking institution, and we're trying to incorporate what our current business model and replicate it in a metaverse or an experience internet environment and ecosystem. And I think that's part of this environment that has great potential, correct? It's still very hyped, but we still have a couple of infrastructure requirements that are quite not there yet. No, 5G might not be sufficient to carry us through a fully immersive experience, to fully be able to load the capacity of data we need to access this high quality of graphics. No, obviously the experiences are starting to become attractive enough to have it their own place in the market, but it still hasn't created its own decentralized market that creates its own value proposition. So how our brands are actually approaching this? I think we have to approach marketing in the metaverse or marketing in Web3 from three distinctive, I won't say value propositions, but from three perspective or distinctive points of view. One of them has to be from the perspective of how a company is going to actually communicate to its new generations of potential consumers. No, understanding that there is a pivotal shift between not only the traditional baby boomers and its evolution to Generation X or newer generations such as millennials, but that there is a fundamental shift from millennial to Gen Z. No, a generation of consumers that are completely digitally immersed, that their formation as native digital generations have made them being very sensible to actually the principles of community building. They understand the value of digital currency, and they understand the value of digital transactions. They understand the value of actually engaging in social dynamics through gamification, no? And you could say that they're metaverse ready generations. So how are companies going to approach this new segment of consumers? The second approach, I think, is how are companies going to approach, with the advent of Web3, how are they going to approach tokenization, decentralization, and propose value propositions of products or services that cater to a market that is much more conscientious about their data, that value privacy, correct? And that they have a completely different perspective on how the relationship between their counterparts, such as a company that's providing them the services, should treat them as consumers. No? And the third, I think that it's very, very relevant and very important, is how are companies going to shift or change the way they actually communicate with their communities or with their target audiences, so to speak. And this all happens fundamentally, and I think behind these three pillars that we discussed, or these three ways of approaching marketing in the metaverse or marketing in Web3, it has an underlying change of the dynamics of consumers, no? And this is something that is very, very motivated and fueled by decentralization of blockchain technology, but it's this fundamental change of consumers not wanting to be targeted audiences anymore, but rather becoming stakeholders and shareholders in the projects or the products or the services that are being offered by companies. So in this fundamental change, we are seeing now that the new Web3 communities, they're fueled by common interests, obviously by the prospectus or by the appeal of having a potential reward in the future, correct? And also by leveraging the strengths of the community to actually promote the value services. So you could imagine or envisioning a company that wants to actually engage into a Web3 strategy and talk to new communities or to new audiences, that they might have to change the way they actually perceive their consumers. Because all companies at the end of the day, they have brands, and they understand the value that their brands actually bring to their consumers, and they try to actually convey these benefits to the consumer so that the consumer actually buys the product or the service and then has some sort of benefit and then actually rebuys or repurchases. In this change of dynamics now, we have to start seeing almost the consumers as becoming now shareholders in the company. And you're going to actually utilize them as part of your marketing, as part of your development strategy, as part of your focus groups, and as part of your, let's call it, a promotional or go-to-market strategy. And if you start envisioning that there is a shift between a audience to community and between consumers and or customers and now shareholders or stakeholders, then the Web3 space becomes very, very attractive to develop new and novel mechanisms. And this is what I mean from transitioning from just replicating to actually innovating. Once companies start seeing this fundamental change, they're going to be able to actually adapt their marketing strategies and treat their customers now as what they truly want to be, which is part of the process, part of the company, part of the value proposition, and grow together through this continuous positive or negative feedback loop that actually fuels community building. And I think this leads us to this fundamental change also of understanding that if in Web 2 we had audiences, and we were trying to capitalize these audiences, obviously through SEO marketing or through ads or from different perspectives or mechanisms or tools available through traditional marketing strategies. Now in the era of the ownership economy, marketing is done very, very different. It has to start by leveraging and empowering your communities. And from your communities, you have to start trickling down this capacity to communicate or articulate your messages of your value proposition. And it's very important that you have to maintain constant communication, because now they're not consumers anymore. Now there's a shift also of entitlement, because now they're part of your company, they're part of your products. And now communication has to be permanent, correct? It has to be honest, correct? And it has to be in a language that is adequate and tailored to the needs and to the obviously demographic that you're speaking to. So I think that when we're talking about this wonderful new era that a lot of companies are approaching, it all starts from the CEO traditionally. The CEO recognizing that there is an importance in understanding what are going to be the implications of the metaverse, how these technologies are impacting the business. And CEOs are usually very pro analyzing the potential impacts and trends, because they're seeing that there is this movement, correct? And they're going to their C-suite teams and they're going to them and they're telling them effectively, we have to analyze this. We have to study the relevance of these new tendencies, how they apply to our business, correct? And should we or should we not get into this space, and how should we do it? So I think in terms of the CEO level, this is pretty clear that there's potential, and that we should definitely explore in any industry how to actually approach this. I think where it gets more complex is when you start going into the C-suite levels, no? Does the chief marketing officer actually understand the relevance of the metaverse and the technologies? Is this a marketing play, or should I take it up to the CIO? Or should I approach it as a technology play and just kick it over to my CTO? So I think it's very important for the C-suite executives to actually have a broad understanding of this evolution from Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3, understand the metaverse as a way to actually captivate passive audiences, which are much more curated, call them communities, and they have very, very specific wants, needs, alignment of interests, that if you actually are able to cater to them, they become an incredible, powerful tool. And we have a lot of examples in Web3 and with NFT projects and in community building of successful stories where the actual community members become such a pivotal or important part of the value proposition of the company behind the products and services, that they actually start running and dictating the path. No, and we talk a lot about DAOs and how decentralized autonomous organizations might look in the future, but those are more complex. Those are more complex scenarios, which they can be actually very well de-articulated to the principles and essentials of marketing. So I think just as a summing up, or giving a little bit of a brief of concepts. The purpose of this chat or this talk was actually to lay the foundations of how to actually approach the metaverse and Web3 from a marketing perspective and from an enterprise perspective, understanding that there has been this evolution of the internet, there's been this change in the dynamics of how consumers have actually migrated to now stakeholders. There's this shift towards the ownership economy, which is empowered by the decentralization of relationships between economic actors, and the fact that there is this new experience internet that allows us to view our products or services or interact in a digital world in a completely different way. And just as a summation, or to summarize, when do I think that the metaverse will become relevant as a play, not only for humanity, but for companies and for obviously startups and SMEs that are trying to present or approach the customer acquisition in a different way? I think it's all about utility. No, it's all about utility. We have to understand that this is a beautiful technology that is in the process of getting there. We're going to see, I believe, in 2023, a lot of experimentation. I would like to call it a lot of return of learning experiences, no, where companies are going to actually start identifying the why. Why do I want a metaverse? Is it relevant for my business? Do I want it to give my existing customers a new experience? Or do I want to cater to a completely new segment of consumers? These are all important questions that can be solved through certain sessions of ideation, which is very important to level the playing field and then structure certain methodologies to actually help or allow companies to get there. But I think, just as the closing argument, I believe the metaverse is truly a technological revolution. I believe that it will effectively disrupt markets and create new market opportunities. I do think that it's going to shape the dynamics of social interaction. I think it's definitely going to change the way we experience our daily lives. And I think that the true relevance of the metaverse will take place when the utility value of our digital self becomes equal or greater than that of our physical self. So when we actually have the capacity to leverage the power of our digital identities and our digital twins, let's call it, in a digital space and create a value which is equal or greater than what we're actually creating in the physical space, then the metaverse will become a very, very interesting play. So I want to thank you very much for your time on this second chapter of marketing in the metaverse, or marketing in Web3. And I want to thank the entire team at Toroblocks for inviting me to this incredible event. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Whoa! Are you kidding me? What a ride, right? Amazing, amazing. Are you still with us? Good, because you're up for a treat. If you go now to torocon.world, you will find a field where you can enter your email, and you will receive 100 free Toros from our side to yours, from our wallet €2. These are coins that makes you a member of our greater community. You will be holding a piece of history. Just enter your email at torocon.world and you'll be one of the few, okay? Now that Torocon is over, day 2 is finally concluded just now. I want to tell you that Torocon 2022 was the first one, but we are already making plans for next Torocons. And we want your contribution into that. We want your ideas. We want, your opinions. What did you like about this year's Torocon? What would you like to see in the next one? And all of your feedback is going to be valuable information for us so we can create something together. What do you say? So if you go to torocon.world and you enter your email, you will receive a form to give us feedback about what you watched, what you liked, what you didn't like, and we will merge all this information and create something better for you. So I would like personally to thank you again for being here all those 2 days. I think the information that was shared was pretty valuable to all of you and to us as well. And you know what? I'll see you at the next one.